low. Oh, whoa, whoa. Hey, yo. I found my old 3DS. Does it still turn on? Does he still turn on? No, he's out of power. No way. I'm sad. That's unfortunate. It's not like I have a charger or anything. Bro, you better charge. If not, I'm gonna scream. He's charging. As for you, you are going to be right there. And I'm going to be right here because we are live. Wait, hold on. It's going to be on. Main light's going to be off. My robe is coming on because we are live right now, like literally right now. Hello, greetings, salutations, konnichiwa, and other various greetings in multiple different languages, and we mean multiple. It is I, person, just tree or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. Hello, we are live. We are live. Why are we live? Because I fucking said so. That's why. Because we are live because we gotta finish Doomsday. We gotta finish Doomsday. All right. We gotta finish it. Because I promised I'd finish it, and hey, we're finishing it. So here we are finishing it. We're finishing it. Where is it? Where is it? It wasn't on the scene, was it? No, it was not. Okay. Is it this? Oh no, where to go? Oh, it was window capture. Jeez, where is it? Come on, man. Are you on this? Yes, you are. Okay. Here we go. We already watched Solar Storm, so mega eruption. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right. There we go.
It's a volcanic eruption like no other in the history of mankind.
Of course it is.
We're talking complete devastation. We're talking erasing things.
Erasing?
And they explode.
Please. This isn't a paper.
It's unimaginable.
I'm imagining a lot of things.
The entire planet is suddenly a killing field.
That's like every day, though.
You would have to wonder, is this the end? Is this the
Yes. Doomsday. Yes, Zonk. Doomsday indeed. We're finishing episodes 6 through 10.
There's a lot of ways the human race can go extinct.
A lot more than 10.
Ready? When Doomsday strikes,
Yes.
can any of us survive?
Yes. The Queen of England. I think of a few people that could survive. The Queen of England. Me. Zonk.
640,000 years ago,
Okay.
a supervolcano erupted in what is now Yellowstone National Park.
Sure it did.
If it happened again today, millions would die. But the Earth can produce volcanic blasts even more deadly. Could you survive a hyper-eruption?
Yes. No. Yes.
Pretty much.
Yes, you could. No, you couldn't. Yes, you could.
There's very little that we can do to sustain ourselves.
Come on, we're good.
All around the world, there aren't enough people left alive to bury all of the dead bodies.
Well, I mean, if it's a hyper eruption, there won't be anything left to bury, you know, because they'd be charred, unrecognizable.
It's a beautiful day at America's oldest national park, Yellowstone.
When the stone is yellow.
Famous hot springs, bubble and steam. It's been a tourist attraction for nearly 150 years. Old Faithful is the biggest draw. It has erupted more than 1 million times in the park's history.
Burn. What are they talking about? I didn't take French. Guys, it's just water. It's all good. It's all good. It's just water. It's just water.
200-degree water shoots 185 feet into the air. It's heated by magma, the molten rock from the Earth's interior, which is unusually close to the surface here. It's a volcanic hotspot, and it's the force driving all the geysers and hot springs at Yellowstone.
The way it works is you have water slowly heating up underground in sort of a cavity underground, and eventually that water starts to boil, and the boiling process causes a kind of a water and steam explosion to go shooting up the crevice and blowing out into the air in a big fountain that goes about 100 feet up.
True.
The underground processes that power Old Faithful can grow to massive scales.
Holy.
Super eruptions, like the one 640 million years ago, can eject 10,000 times the amount of ash and rock than more common volcanic eruptions like Mount St. Helens. Past super eruptions in Yellowstone have broken through the surface in places where the Earth's crust is relatively thin.
Oh dear.
But in this region, there are also parts of the crust that are 100 miles thick. And this allows for an even more dangerous situation to take shape deep underground.
Oh no.
Directly over the hotspot at the thickest part of the crust, gases will start to migrate up into the crust until they get trapped at around 50 miles deep. And they'll build up.
They build up, exactly.
Until eventually, the force of all that dissolved gas overwhelms the strength of the rock over top. And then it'll fail.
And then explode.
When an enormous section of the Earth's crust fails, think like a cork coming out of a champagne bottle, but this one has a slug that's 50 miles tall.
Oh. Oh. Oh no.
It could be the most devastating volcanic event of all.
Could be. Doesn't mean it is.
Not a super
But could be.
but a hyper eruption.
A giga eruption. A mega eruption.
Hyper eruption is a whole other order of magnitude.
Inferruption.
Hyper eruption, in comparison to a super eruption, is a bit like comparing a stick of dynamite to a firecracker.
Dynamite! 1 minute before hyper eruption. Oh. I wonder what'll happen. I wonder what'll happen. Man, I gotta take a picture.
City live streams his friends back home as he hikes around Yellowstone Lake.
Mexico City, Mexico. Okay. Hey, yo, welcome back to TikTok. It's your boy, Home Daddy. Gee, it's kind of hot here. Gee, it's kind of hot. That is the last photo she ever saw of him.
Little does he know, he's 75 miles from the epicenter of what will be a cataclysmic blast.
Uh-oh. Hey, yo, man, what are you doing? Get out of there. Get out of there. Out of there, man. Oh.
Pressure is building out for centuries. Up until a point in time where all the gas comes out of molten rock.
Okay, what's up? How you doing?
Creating a hyper eruption. An explosion so huge that it's unimaginable. It projects tons
But we made
of
CGI of it anyway, so it is imaginable.
It would look like a laser beam of rock being fired from the Earth towards space.
Okay. 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 A laser beam of rock. I'm about done. I'm about fucking done. This is the best series ever.
So imagine this huge column of molten rock. It's 1,500 feet across and 50 mile high. That amount of molten rock is shot into the sky, into suborbital height. It's almost like a missile.
Suborbit. Holy jeez.
In one brief moment, the hyper-eruption sets in motion a series of devastating events, threatening all of life as we know it. Will anyone survive?
No.
What would happen if a volcanic hyper-eruption, 100 billion times more powerful than the 1980 Mount St. Helens blast, exploded in Wyoming's Yellowstone National Park, triggering a worldwide disaster? Would you survive?
Yes. No. Yes. Yes, I would. Yes, I can. Not.
A Boeing 737 cruises past Yellowstone National Park
Okay.
on a routine flight to Atlanta.
Atlantis?
In an instant, a giant pillar of red-hot rock reaches the plane's altitude of 35,000 feet.
Oh no.
It would be hit by a fist of material.
What the fu-
As it shoots molten rock skyward, the hyper-eruption produces an explosive release of energy that generates a seismic shockwave unlike anything in human history.
I bet.
It's likely to be equivalent to a magnitude 11 earthquake.
Survival depends on your location. 10,000 people live in nearby Cody, Wyoming. Most of them are killed in 2 seconds,
What the fu-
victims of the powerful shockwave. Inside the park itself, the shockwave reaches Yellowstone's Old Faithful and its historic inn, built in 1903. Hundreds of people inside are crushed or trapped.
Oh no. Paris Fricks. Where are they running for? There goes the inn.
Imagine blowing up all the nuclear arsenal of the Earth altogether. Now imagine that 500 times stronger. That's the kind of explosion that we're imagining here.
10 seconds after hyper eruption. Okay, buddy.
From above the shores of Yellowstone Lake, 75 miles away, it's easy to see the eruption's bizarre pillar of light.
The rod of light would be going essentially as high as you could see. It would be 100 miles above you, as high as you could see, to the top of the sky.
The Mexican hiker above the lake streams video to the web.
No one has seen anything like this before.
Oh.
For all intents and purposes, this looks exactly like an asteroid impact happening in reverse. It's as though the Earth has projected an enormous amount of itself out into space at blinding speeds.
Another 5 seconds later, the shockwave hits.
Ew. And he's gone.
Traveling at 18,000 miles per hour, the blast wave reaches Salt Lake City, 260 miles away in less than 1 minute.
The Great Mormon Temple in Salt Lake City was reinforced against earthquake at roughly Richter 8. The
Anything?
building would collapse, the spires would crumble, as if there were no reinforcement whatsoever.
It just goes down.
The difference between
Oh, they killed him.
the magnitude
they
of
killed
the
him.
shaking and the magnitude of the shaking from
Whoa.
the Richter 8 earthquake is roughly 1,000-fold.
And this is just the beginning of the disaster. In less than a minute, 25,000 people are dead. The survivors are the lucky ones who avoid debris from collapsing buildings. The shockwave's killer strength will extend 500 miles in all directions, but that's just the beginning. What follows could be the greatest catastrophe in the history of mankind. 640,000 years ago, a supervolcano erupted, killing millions of prehistoric creatures roaming the ancient landscape. What if an even bigger explosion, a volcanic hyper-eruption, happened today? Could
Birds
we
just don't care.
survive? Yellowstone National Park, Wyoming.
Bro, he's still going.
The most powerful volcanic event ever witnessed by mankind has just rocked the Earth.
I get. Oh shit.
A massive shockwave, equivalent to a magnitude 11 earthquake, now radiates out in all directions. 25,000 people are already dead.
They're already dead.
The falling buildings of Salt Lake City, 260 miles away.
Hokuto Shinken. That's not even a person. That's a statue. But sure, Hokuto Shinken got to him. They were already dead.
"400 miles to the northeast, in Trenton, North Dakota. Oil tanker trains, 118 cars long, come and go at a shipping terminal. When the shockwave hits, the terminal's storage tanks rupture, and with the first random spark,
Oh no.
550,000 gallons of oil
Oh.
explode.
Ah. No.
These are no ordinary fires. These are fires of black crude oil, which is spewing carbon smoke into the atmosphere. Completely black, completely opaque, completely toxic.
Dozens of terminal workers are burned to death in the explosions, and the thick smoke cloud reaches a mile in height.
Oh my.
400 miles south of Yellowstone, campers at Utah's Arches National Park suspect nothing as they gaze at the spectacular sandstone landmarks.
Hey, yo, nothing's wrong here. Just beautiful. What a view.
Arches National Park. Is
We're out here dying, man. But no, it's just a beautiful. It's just a beautiful view.
Underneath.
Created after the sandstone was exposed to the elements, the arches have taken 15 million years to form. Delicate arch, 65 feet tall,
Ooh.
is the most popular and famous the world over. Landscape arch is the longest,
Whoa.
stretching 290 feet
Oh.
end to end,
Oh my gosh.
and balanced rock, weighing 3,500 tons, is an improbable oddity few photographers can resist.
Sandstone is not the best building material, and so when you experience a strong seismic shock like this, these arches, which have lasted for millennia, which were patiently carved by rain and floodwater, will come tumbling down.
Well. Oh my gosh. But I still gotta get a picture. And now he runs. Oh. Narrow escape. Okay. Okay. Tokyo, Japan. For a second there, I thought that said Tokyo, USA. What the heck? Milan, Italy.
Video and pictures from both Arches and Yellowstone race around the internet. And as the world gets wind of what's happening in America, the devastation near the eruption site only gets worse.
Oh. This is 6 minutes after hyper eruption. Okay.
Around Yellowstone's glowing pillar of molten
My
rock,
man's still going.
a mushroom cloud forms.
This mushroom cloud is being propelled by so much heat that's been generated. It can move higher through the atmosphere than anything we've ever seen like it before. We're talking 40, 50, 60 higher miles into the sky to the edge of space.
"75 miles away, a blast of air, traveling at the speed of sound, reaches the waters of Lake Yellowstone, creating a deadly tsunami.
What the fuck?
150 people drowned in the onrushing wave.
Wait, no. No.
The only survivors are those who make it to high ground.
Cause they had the high ground.
Also generates a deafening sound. It's a phenomenon seen on a much smaller scale in 2014, Mount Tavorvor volcano became active in Papua New Guinea.
Watch out for the shark, it's coming.
The sound of the eruption took about 13 seconds to reach the boat, just under 3 miles away.
Holy smoking Toledo.
The Yellowstone hypereruption is thousands of times more powerful. The explosive sound doesn't reach Salt Lake City until long after the initial jolt. That's because the seismic waves travel much faster than sound waves.
The Earth is much stiffer than the air, and so disturbances travel much faster through the stiff material. So the seismic waves reach Salt Lake City well before the sound waves do. It takes about 22 minutes before the sound of the explosion is heard in Salt Lake City.
Oh
The sound of the
dear.
blast is so loud that even as far as 2,000 miles away, it measures more than 150 decibels. It's like standing next to a jet at takeoff. It is easily enough to rupture people's eardrums. Then, the eruption ends, almost as suddenly as it began.
A hypereruption takes place much faster than an ordinary volcanic eruption. It's over within 10 minutes or so. After the eruption, after the smoke and dust is cleared, there's a crater that's several miles wide.
The western United States has been hit hard. From Yellowstone to Salt Lake City and beyond, 35,000 are dead. Survivors are left to sort through the wreckage in the 500-mile circle of destruction. But this catastrophic event is about to go global.
Oh jeez, no. Please. No, don't turn the global servers on, man. No. Get the normies out of here.
Volcanic debris, heated up to more than 3,000 degrees, is flying through space more than 200 miles up.
Jeez, how is that even fucking possible?
When it comes crashing down, it will be more powerful than a nuclear bomb.
That's not good. That's not good.
The most powerful volcanic eruption in human history has just rocked Yellowstone National Park.
Haha! I get it.
Could you survive?
Yes. Possibly. No. Without a shadow of a doubt.
50,000 people are dead.
Oh.
Cities are in ruin across the American and Canadian West.
Oh no.
Seismic shock of the hyper-eruption. In the wreckage, a traumatized population struggles as water, power, and other essentials are cut off. Those who have stockpiles of supplies will survive. Those without are in peril.
They're in more than just peril. They're fucked. And not in a good way.
Emergency relief is rushed to Salt Lake City and other devastated communities within hundreds of miles of the eruption.
Sure.
But they are unable to cope with the magnitude of the destruction.
Some people would think the end of the world had come. No one is prepared for a disaster of this magnitude.
No, they're not.
Meanwhile, the force of the hyper-eruption is about to wreak more havoc.
I'd rather you
Volcano's
not.
50-mile-high column of molten rock is flying through the atmosphere.
It's a little bit like a shotgun blast that peppers an area that spreads out a little bit, but it doesn't spread out to cover the entire Earth.
The salvo of debris spans the border of the United States and Canada.
Oh dear.
Millions of red-hot projectiles slam down on Seattle and Vancouver.
Oh dear. Okay. Yo, get out of it. Well, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go blow my nose or something. We are back. Oh, no, not the stock explode. Not the Space Needle. No!
In a hailstorm. Thick balls of hail, except these are even heavier, coming down with a lot of momentum. Smashing into cars, breaking windows, going through the roofs of houses.
Oh, dear.
Calculations show that a hypereruption would push out about 3 cubic miles of material.
What kind of material? Oh, you know, material.
Material is like about 12,000 Empire State Buildings, all landing in one region.
That's not good.
The only way to survive the onslaught is to be lucky enough for the projectiles to miss you. Deep underground,
You gotta have that,
but not if it's hit by something really big.
or you gotta have really good
All the
reflexes.
stuff that's raining down on the area, you'd expect a range of sizes. Everything from gravel or pebbles all the way up to
Get-
large
get-
buildings even in stadium sizes.
Get that Dodge stat up.
Art Deco City Hall, with its distinctive 12-story tower, was built in 1936 and is only 250 feet wide.
Vancouver City Hall would simply disappear. It's important to keep in mind that the ejecta coming back down is very similar to an asteroid striking from space. So where Vancouver City Hall used to be, you'd now have a crater that's more than a mile wide.
Well, geez. That's not good.
Two hours after the eruption, people around the world started literally literally hearing the massive volcanic explosion
Literally hearing.
as its sound waves circle the globe at 767 miles per hour.
Oh my gosh. Calm down. Okay. Okay.
In Mexico City, 1,800 miles from the site of the blast, it sounds like thunder.
Would be
I'm just gonna ignore that.
several times around.
And within 6 hours, the eerie noise hits Europe, Africa, and Asia.
Sega.
The sound that it makes, like a ripple, will travel all the way around the world once every 32 hours or so and keep going, maybe 3 times before eventually the intensity of that sound drops below the limit of human hearing.
So loud. No.
Across the world, the sound of the blast is merely a sign of things to come. The far-reaching effects of the eruption will be more disastrous than anyone realizes.
There's actually another killing mechanism lurking behind all of this, and it's one that could actually threaten entire human civilization across the globe.
640,000 years ago, a supervolcano erupted in what is now Yellowstone National. What if an even more powerful and deadly blast happened today?
Oh, you know.
The Yellowstone hypereruption is the first of its kind in human history. The sheer explosive force of the hypereruption, its mighty shockwave, and the ensuing rain of volcanic debris that followed, has toppled buildings, destroyed cities,
That's not good.
and ignited fires up to 500 miles away. Hundreds of thousands are dead or injured. But a month after the blast, the worst is yet to come.
What?
Frightening conclusions tonight from scientists following last month's so-called hyper-eruption in the United States. The sulfuric gas it released threatens to plunge the entire planet into a prolonged winter.
Sulfur dioxide is not a gas that you want put into the atmosphere in large quantities. It does a couple things, none of which are particularly good for the environment. Most importantly, the sulfur gas, sulfur dioxide, when it goes into the atmosphere, is converted into sulfuric acid. Tiny droplets, or aerosol droplets of sulfuric acid, which form clouds, which cause the sunlight effectively to bounce off and dramatically cool down the ground below.
Oh no.
The upper atmosphere is flooded with sulfur compounds from the eruption, blocking sunlight, chilling the climate, and plunging the world into a sudden ice age. As the deep freeze takes hold, civilization is slowly brought to its knees. The canals of Venice
In more ways than one.
The wheat fields of the Midwest are dead. Blizzards whip across landscapes.
Are you kidding me?
Making travel nearly impossible and bringing normal life to a grinding halt.
Once the temperature starts plummeting, life as we know it is going to fundamentally change.
Now, survival becomes a question of finding food for those left alive.
Food isn't real. It's not real.
So I think people would start hoarding food very quickly.
Food is just a figment
Looting, that's a possibility.
of your imagination.
Stealing food from stores.
the severe blocking of sunlight that would follow a hyper eruption.
That would not be good because our world
Something
needs
like
sunlight.
99% of plant life on Earth.
Exactly.
And that die-off would have severe consequences for the food webs that most life on Earth depends on.
Pretty much a lot of food chains will die.
Counts, you're reaching 6 billion people dying from lack of food.
They say we have about a year's worth of food for everyone.
That includes everything in grain silos, warehouses, processing plants, remaining livestock. After the first year of the Ice Age, food for humans, for creatures of all kinds, will be gone.
Are you good?
Almost all animals of all species will die because they don't have nutrition. This is what happens in a mass extinction.
Where are we going, bro?
What happens to a world brought to its knees by the worst volcanic eruption in history? The Yellowstone hyper-eruption has left cities in ruins. And its volcanic gases have blanketed the atmosphere, blocking the sun, and triggering a global ice age that has brought civilization to the brink. Decimated
Brink,
by
decent game.
starvation, the human population plummets to less than 1 billion people.
Shit.
You've reached a point now where there aren't enough people left alive to bury all of the dead bodies. You would have entire populations either vacate or die in place.
Some survive by luck. Those who happen to live in narrow equatorial regions do not freeze. Other people find clever strategies to adapt and overcome the extreme cold. Perhaps surprisingly, a chance of life exists in Iceland, where cold was already a way of life before the disaster.
They are already used to an almost barren environment, and they certainly have the knowledge and the technique necessary to, I believe, adapt to such an environment.
And I bet that one tribe that gets angry at everyone
That most populated
will just be fine. They will just be fine.
an underground source of heat and energy. The country sits on top of a volcanic hotspot. Survivors here are able to harness that heat to keep greenhouses warm despite freezing temperatures.
The North Sentinelese will just be fine.
These indoor farms will be a key to survival. More than 1,500 miles away in Denmark, another colony of survivors uses technology that has been under development in the country since 2001. They're turning natural gas into food.
Natural gas is mostly composed of methane, and as it turns out, there are some microorganisms that can eat methane for food. And one of the strategies for finding an alternate food supply after a disaster like this is supplying these bacteria with natural gas and then harvesting them as food themselves.
Half of Denmark's natural gas is kept in underground storage near the town of Stenløse. Here, a food factory is built. They feed the gas to the methane-eating bacteria. The microbes are then dried to produce a highly nutritious edible protein. These survivors have weathered the worst of the hyper-eruption's effects.
Okay, but how? Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that actually is kind of cool.
Now, 10 years after the volcanic disaster began, Earth's climate is about to turn a corner.
After about a decade, the sulfur dioxide has rained out of the atmosphere and its effects on the climate start to wane. But that's when the effects of the other gas produced by the hypereruption start to rear its head.
Oh,
and
no.
that's carbon dioxide. And that will
No.
actually take the climate in the opposite direction and start to warm it.
The rapid warming period is slow to die down. It lasts for thousands of years after the eruption.
The world may have suffered a mass extinction, but human beings are among those who dodged the bullet.
We are talking about 99.99% of all humans dying. But that is not an extinction. That is just a terrible calamity.
We won't be able to survive in the same way that we're doing right now. We won't be able to have big infrastructure projects. We won't have large numbers of people living together.
As the Earth begins to warm, how long will it take humanity's few survivors to rebuild civilization?
200 years after people. Oh wait, no, I mean hyper eruption. Oops, I've been watching Life After People again.
After the disaster, plant life has started to repopulate. This began as ferns and ground plant life across the mainland. And slowly, trees now start to recover forests.
Imagine how many cities will be first frozen, then empty of people, devoid of life, and then probably forgotten. And as the planet warms up again, the green will come back to those long-forgotten cities.
The green.
2 centuries after the eruption, civilization begins to revive itself.
So no F in the chat
And
for
despite the
our fellow
extent of the global
humans.
disaster, mankind won't necessarily have to return to a primitive existence.
The Dark Ages in Europe, people forgot about Rome. It took humankind 1,000 years to get back to where the Greeks and the Romans had been. But that's not going to happen this time. We know too much.
The planet and its people now live in a new world, whose history took a sharp turn with the volcanic explosion at Yellowstone. The hypereruption of Crater is filled with water from nearby streams and rivers. A striking landmark that will last for thousands of years.
And before it erupts again.
And I think, ironically, it actually looks very idyllic and calm. I think for the survivors of the new civilization that comes thereafter, this would be a symbol. And it actually represents the beginning of the new world as opposed to the end.
And before it erupts again. Alright. So, yeah, hyper eruption, sure. Oh no.
A blast from space. And there's nowhere to. It's the cosmic death beam of a gamma ray burst.
Oh, let me go back again.
A blast from space.
What's with the stock sound effect?
There's nowhere to hide. It's the cosmic death beam of a gamma ray burst.
We're talking about a silent killer that has massive amounts of radiation.
Oh.
Whatever survives at this point is a roll of the dice.
Every time. There's that car again.
When Doomsday strikes,
Yeah.
can any of us survive?
Of course.
Every week, NASA detects deadly laser beams of energy in outer space, known as gamma ray bursts. Some scientists
There he
have
goes.
struck Earth 440 million years ago, killing off 2/3 of all species. If one hit Earth today, would you survive?
Oh, hell yeah.
Basically, you've just walked into Armageddon.
The exposure basically starts destroying cells. Things start to shut down.
This is the last and brightest moment you'll ever witness in your life.
Oh!
San Juan, Puerto Rico. As a container ship heads into port, every eye on deck is drawn to the bizarre light flashes on the eastern horizon.
Guys, don't
Into a fantastic light show.
look at it.
Greens and blues. Something usually seen near the Arctic Circle.
You'll begin to see the northern lights, which is really bizarre. The aurora borealis, these beautiful arcs of red and green and violet, will be shimmering through the atmosphere. What would you think happened?
What's up with the sky?
Meanwhile, 7,000 miles to the east in Paris, a much more intense phenomenon takes place.
Think about being a tourist in Paris. You see the Eiffel Tower, and you're looking up at it. And then there's this bright flash
Whoa.
in the sky that's growing brighter and brighter.
This flash of light would grow rapidly in intensity to the point where it would be blindingly bright.
This is the brightest thing you have ever seen until your retina stops working.
Oh.
I think the only thing that would be anywhere near this would be a thermonuclear bomb going off fairly close to them and looking straight at it.
What has triggered this massive burst of energy in Earth's skies? Long ago, more than 1,200 trillion miles away, two dead stars circled each other in deep space. With a combined gravitational pull 4 billion times greater than the Earth's, the two stars collided, triggering a devastating gamma ray burst.
There's an impact.
Oh.
And because of the extremely high densities and their extremely
He
high
evolved.
force, there's just a huge amount of energy that's released.
Gamma ray burst is the most colossal explosion in the universe. Second only to the creation of the universe itself, the Big Bang. The energy release is so titanic that it can outshine an entire galaxy of hundreds of billions of stars.
The gamma rays, the most energetic type of radiation in the universe, shot out in two powerful concentrated beams. Now, after 200 years of space travel, the gamma ray burst is quickly approaching our atmosphere.
That's not good.
Is right in the crosshairs.
Oh, that's not good.
If the rotational axis were pointing at Earth, the results would be devastating.
Since the 1990s, ground and satellite-based telescopes have spotted the radiation from hundreds of distant gamma ray bursts. But only at the moment the radiation reaches Earth. So humanity has no advanced warning of the catastrophe that is about to strike.
The ISS.
250 miles above Earth's surface, the International Space Station flies over Europe at 17,000 miles per hour. Suddenly, there's a power blackout. Deadly radiation streams into the space station. The gamma ray burst claims its first victims.
The astronauts would be exposed to an onslaught of energetic gamma rays.
Shit!
They're going to be sick and dying, and really not much they can do about it.
The side of the planet facing the gamma ray burst is in the impact zone and will take a direct hit. That zone includes Africa, the Middle East, parts of Russia, and all of Europe. In Madrid's famous Plaza Mayor, sightseers stroll beneath a hot afternoon sun. The open-air plaza offers no protection from the heat or the danger that's headed their way.
Well, that sucks.
At Galveston Beach, Texas, families take advantage of the cool morning temperatures. They are in the non-impact zone, the side of Earth opposite from the fast-approaching GRB.
GRB.
The beachgoers are in no danger for the moment. Traveling at the speed of light, the gamma ray burst is milliseconds from Earth, and our atmosphere will be the first line of defense.
So basically, no defense at all.
We don't even think about it during the day. But it protects all life on the planet Earth. And it's extremely delicate and very thin.
So don't fuck it up.
Protects us from high energy radiation from space that's always coming in. And so that protective blanket really shields us from a lot of the dangerous radiation that's out there.
But this is no ordinary cosmic radiation.
Oh, of course.
It's the most powerful in the universe.
Here he comes, the constant data stream.
Volts of energy concentrated in a tiny, narrow beam.
The initial burst would be the equivalent of detonating a 1 megaton nuclear warhead over every square mile of the impacted site.
A 1 megaton nuclear device is 80 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb.
The atmosphere won't be able to
Oh,
hold
no.
its own. It'll be destroyed.
So we'd die instantly. We'd all fucking die.
As the gamma ray burst slams into the Earth, it instantly engulfs Europe, Africa, and the Middle East in a blast of radiation that lasts just 2 seconds. In Paris, on the Champs-Élysées, the massive white flash permanently runs staring directly at the blast. Within seconds, electrical transformers explode. Cell phones and radios short circuit. Cars, buses, and trains come to a halt.
When the gamma ray burst hits the atmosphere, at that point, electrons are stripped off atoms, creating a wall of electric fields that then create the electromagnetic pulse. Now we're talking about massive short-circuiting.
EMP.
Meanwhile, in the United States of America, the dawn light reveals a world unchanged.
Oh. You Americans.
If you were on
Wait,
the other
I'm
side of
American.
Earth
Oh,
at the moment
shit.
that the gamma ray burst arrives, initially you wouldn't really notice anything. It would just be business as usual.
At the National Space Science Center in Huntsville, Alabama, a scientist is teleconferencing with a colleague at the Max Planck Institute near Munich, Germany.
The fuck's a plunk?
The teams jointly monitor the Fermi Gamma Ray Space Telescope.
Several years ago, NASA launched the Fermi mission. That is a satellite specifically designed to home in on gamma ray bursts
Sure he
in outer
is.
space. We search it out. We scan the heavens looking for these things.
Suddenly, the German video feed goes dark. 340 miles above, hurtling through space at 17,000 miles per hour. The Fermi telescope is hit by the electromagnetic pulse.
My man.
The satellite sensor does its job and confirms the gamma ray burst on the other side of the world.
Fermi is designed to handle that kind of radiation, but this is going to be an unprecedented level of that radiation. So they would immediately record that, and the spacecraft would send that data to the ground.
The Huntsville scientists begin to alert government officials, but there's already been significant damage. In the first seconds of the blast, hundreds of millions of people, from Paris to South Africa, have lost all electronic communications and witnessed the brightest flash of light ever seen on Earth.
And one of the brightest flashes they will ever see.
That now threatens to kill them all.
Okay.
The Earth is under attack.
Isn't there
The
always?
most powerful radiation in the universe, a gamma ray burst from two colliding stars, has slammed into our planet at the speed of light. Can humanity survive
No.
a direct hit?
No. We
In
can't.
the few milliseconds that a gamma ray burst like this takes place, it emits more energy than our own sun has emitted through the entire history of the universe.
Africa, the Middle East, and Europe are in the immediate impact zone of the gamma ray burst. And no one knows what just happened. International superpowers wonder if this is the first strike of a nuclear war. Off the coast of Italy, the U.S. ballistic missile submarine Louisiana is on high alert.
Are you picking up anything?
What the fuck is a submarine gonna do?
Coded communications instruct the commanding officer to raise the launch readiness level and await further orders.
Bring us full port to 12 degrees. Battle station.
Oh.
On land, in Madrid, a wave of panic rushes over the crowd at the Plaza Mayor. The intense flash of light and power outage sparks chaos.
At first, you may think this is a fantastic election until you realize that the worst is yet to come. You have all the radiation filling up the atmosphere.
Gamma radiation is what we call ionizing radiation. It knocks electrons off of atoms.
Sure it does.
So when that happens, there's charge buildup, and that charge has to balance out in some way. And one way that happens is through lightning.
Across the hemisphere, brilliant bolts of lightning and crashing thunder fill the skies. In Paris, the Eiffel Tower suddenly becomes a massive lightning rod.
Oh no!
This is like a hellscape of a lightning storm. This is so much lightning that the amount of fires that will be raging out of control will immediately overcome any sort of municipal fire department. This is the beginning of absolute chaos.
15 seconds after him.
In the impact zone, millions suddenly cringe in pain. People collapse. Some are dead in seconds. Others struggle to survive against the inevitable.
If you're on the surface of Earth, you will experience a shower of muon particles that will be several times the lethal dose.
Muons are charged particles created when the gamma radiation interacts with atoms high in the atmosphere. Deadly showers of radioactive muons rain down across the entire impact zone.
Someone who gets this blast of radiation is going to have the same kind of radiation poisoning that we've seen in nuclear explosions. The exposure basically starts destroying cells. Things start to shut down.
Oh shit.
They're going to have immediate sickness. Their body systems are likely to be very damaged. Organs may start to shut down pretty quickly within minutes, and basically fatality right away. there's not much anyone could really do. Your first responders, they're going to be getting sick too.
In Madrid, Paris, Cairo, and across the entire impact zone, people taking refuge in office buildings and homes find there is no escape from the gamma ray burst.
Muons are very penetrating. They'll pass right through buildings, no problem.
Well, shit. Game over, I guess.
30,000 feet in the air isn't any safer. High above the burning landscape of Europe and the Mediterranean, hundreds of commercial aircraft are still in flight without navigation systems to guide them. The showers of muon radiation are so powerful, they penetrate the aircraft, killing everyone on board.
Shit!
How far will this deadly gamma radiation spread across the globe? Will any of us survive?
I don't know.
25 years ago, scientists began monitoring gamma ray bursts, deadly radioactive beams that come from deep space. What if one slammed into planet Earth today? Without warning, hundreds of millions have already died in the impact zone. That includes Africa, the Middle East, and Europe. Many of them victims of overwhelming radiation poisoning.
Basically, you just walked into Armageddon.
Oh.
Gamma radiation is what we call ionizing radiation. It destroys the compounds and the tissues of your body and kills you almost instantly.
So immediately the central nervous system will be obliterated and destroyed. So life as we know in that part of Earth will disappear immediately.
The U.S. Navy ballistic missile submarine, Louisiana, preparing for what military leaders think might be nuclear war, cruises submerged off the coast of Italy. The vessel is on high alert, poised to launch a retaliatory missile strike on an unknown enemy. But the launch will never happen, because everyone aboard is dead.
Shit!
High-energy muon radiation particles.
Is it Nuon or Muon?
Water up to a depth of nearly 1 mile.
Are you fucking serious?
Even the hardiest creatures in Earth's oceans are not safe.
The more complex organisms like whales, dolphins, large fish, they're going to experience a really immediate impact. Their systems are going to start shutting down just like people's would.
On the vast grasslands of Africa's Serengeti, mammals suffer the same fate.
No.
Everything perishes.
Insects are extremely resistant to radiation, so they have a tremendous capability to repair the damage. A big fraction of the radiated population will survive.
Deep below the impact zone, a handful of humans have also survived the gamma ray burst. From the Boulby mine, the second deepest hard rock mine in Europe, a group of workers doesn't realize that the 4,000 feet of earth and solid rock has saved their lives.
Okay.
When they arrive on the surface, they emerge to a vision of hell on earth. Now their survival depends on finding sources of food and water in a burned and lifeless continent. As lightning lightning storms illuminate the skies over Mumbai's famous Kulaba Causeway street market. Shoppers are unaware of the cosmic radiation that's falling all around them. While mankind in the impact zone is nearly extinct, those living on the edges have better odds of surviving. From the streets of Mumbai to the container ship in Puerto Rico, the radiation falling down is far less damaging. For those that act quickly, there is a way to beat the odds of cancer onset. Removing clothes and shoes eliminates about 90% of external contamination. Washing with soap and water also removes radiation particles from the skin.
Interesting.
As millions fight to survive on the edges of the gamma ray inferno, in North and South America, massive food shortages threaten to take down the rest of humanity.
As time goes by, as the hours turn to days and weeks, eventually the chaos envelops the entire planet.
Oh no.
Some scientists believe that 440 million years ago, Earth was hit by a gamma ray burst, or GRB, a deadly beam of radiation that devastated life on the planet.
You don't say.
Could you survive if we were struck by a gamma ray burst again?
Oh, hell yeah.
In the first minutes after the disaster, billions of people are already dead or dying in the impact zone. An area including Africa, Europe, and the Middle East.
Essentially, life on the side of the impact has been extinguished.
I can't fall asleep on stream.
The lone survivors are a group of miners who weathered the blast under 4,000 feet of earth and rock.
Ew.
Now, they travel the countryside, living off canned and other preserved goods. But they don't realize that the gamma ray burst has poisoned their food supply.
Gosh darn it.
So gamma ray burst with these intensities can produce radioactive or activated isotopes from the food that
My men's
very dangerous.
my men's.
The miner's lifeline is thin, and it's only a matter of time.
Just lays down and just like, I'm about to head out, and just goes.
In the Americas, on the side of Earth opposite the impact zone, the situation is desperate. After the gamma ray burst's electromagnetic pulse zapped electronics, a global power blackout went into effect.
Oh.
For people in Atlanta, Seattle, Rio de Janeiro, and every large North and South American city in the non-impact zone, power grids are down and commerce is frozen.
You are literally
So much for
left
money.
in the dark, without heat, without light, without food. You're basically thrown back 100 years into the past.
Municipal water supplies are severed. Without electricity, the pumps can't distribute the water.
Shiz.
Grocery stores are mobbed. Desperation sets in as people fight over a shrinking food supply.
Fight over a loaf of bread.
Dialysis machines and backup systems fail, all but ensuring the deaths of thousands of hospital patients.
We live in a bubble. This bubble is energized by electricity. But what happens if something pops that bubble?
Exactly.
Without backups, without heat, without food. Then you begin to realize that civilization itself will begin to degenerate as a consequence.
When the gamma ray burst slammed into Earth's atmosphere, it ripped apart the ozone layer, exposing the survivors to a new radiation threat.
The ozone layer in our atmosphere is one of the most beneficial things on the planet. We have this star in the sky, the sun, that dumps ultraviolet radiation at us all the time. It keeps us alive, but without the ozone, it would cook us and kill us.
Oh. Oh no.
The side of Earth facing it gets completely depleted of ozone. All the ozone gets destroyed, essentially zero left. Now, you've still got 100% on the other side of Earth. But as the atmosphere mixes together in the ensuing days and weeks, effectively what you'll have is 50% of the normal ozone throughout the world.
If you go out in the weeks after this event with any kind of unprotected skin, you're getting doses of UV radiation that would take you normally hours in minutes. You're talking a serious sunburn in 10, 15, 20 minutes.
What the?
Life-threatening if you're exposed for hours. This is a get inside or perish situation.
The sun really is evil.
The long-term effects are that UV is coming through and interacting with living cells.
That much larger dose of ultraviolet radiation will change DNA, and cancers, skin cancers, will rise dramatically.
The only form of protection is to avoid the sun.
They're going to have to put on extra heavy-duty clothing. They're going to have to put on sunglasses. They're going to have to cover every inch of their body, realizing that the sun that gives us life and nourishment is now bathing us in a ultraviolet radiation that can eventually kill us.
Lifestyles will change because you have to in order to survive. Think of living the entirety of the remainder of your life inside or underground. This is what we will have to do to survive.
As the ultraviolet radiation threatens mankind, Earth's ecosystems begin to collapse.
Oh no.
Ultraviolet radiation will, over time, sterilize the upper meters of the Earth's oceans.
The phytoplankton in the ocean are basically little green plants, single-celled plants, and they produce about half the world's oxygen, which means they're of the food chain in the ocean. Larger things eat them, and so on up the food chain.
Fishermen, accustomed to harvesting large bounties of fish from the ocean, would see something very different. They would see a massive die-off.
Without adequate food and water, or electrical power, North and South American cities in the non-impact zone are now in peril.
Oh no.
Food supply, average city community has at most about 2 weeks worth of food on hand. You go without any significant caloric intake after about 2 weeks, then you start becoming more susceptible to disease and dying.
New York, San Francisco, Mexico City, and Bogota are soon to be cities of the dead.
Oh no.
Earth's future hangs in the balance. When a massive gamma ray burst showers the planet in deadly radiation, half the world's population is dead. Like every other population center in the impact zone, Madrid is a city of corpses.
Oh.
The blistering UV radiation hardens the skin, preventing decomposition.
Interesting.
Bodies in the streets are now mummies. Indoors, where the UV rays don't penetrate, the bodies become food for insects that survived the radiation blast.
Oh,
A gamma ray
get that
burst
off my
can be
screen.
Solid
Out of here.
assassin that
Freaking
arrives
maggots.
with no warning, exterminates much of life on Earth, and then leaves no real trace behind.
Meanwhile, people on the side of the planet facing away from the burst survived the initial onslaught. But the danger is far from over.
What are you talking about? 2 months after impact 2.
Across America, there is no electricity.
Shit.
The average major urban center in an industrialized nation has at most 2 to 3 weeks worth of food on hand. That's what you have in your pantry, in your fridge, in the supermarket. Most of it is climate controlled or frozen.
Superstore.
Turn off the electricity, no food. After we've lost our power grid, you have a city that is starving to death. Starving the way people once did, say, in the siege of Leningrad in World War II.
The police force, the EMP crews, the firemen, all our emergency systems are down.
Across the non-impact zone, from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C., food is the biggest problem. The supermarkets were cleaned out weeks ago, and on farms, there is nothing to harvest.
The crops that we rely on are going to be affected by the UV, so
They
there's going to
gonna
be a
die.
lot less wheat, corn, soybeans, rice.
So without the protective ozone layer, agriculture as we know it
Is
will
dead.
collapse. Which means there'll be massive food riots as people start to kill each other for whatever scraps of food that are still left.
Or they'd
Humans
resort
aren't
to
the only ones
cannibalism.
affected. Livestock also suffer.
No,
They too
my
will
man.
Meaning that we're going to have a lack of protein. We're not going to see animals that we can harvest and fish that we can take from the oceans. We're going to see the fact that we're facing mass starvation.
Deaths begin to rise sharply. More than 50% of the United States population has perished. The survivors eke out a living scavenging scraps of food and avoiding the harmful UV rays.
Don't
Some of the
touch the
population
light.
survive in, say, an underground setting. You've got hardened military shelters. You've got underground survivalist type silos. This is life on Earth trying to survive. This kind of event, this gamma ray burst, is a reset button for the planet. Whatever survives at this point is a roll of the dice. Natural selection becomes the ultimate decider of what evolves and what goes extinct.
But even the strongest survivors could be out of luck. And the same gamma ray burst that destroyed half the Earth comes back to finish the job.
What? Bro, come on. Come on. What do you want?
Since a gamma ray burst,
What do you
a
want?
beam of radiation from space wiped out half of Earth's population.
Beam was just like, yeah,
On
no,
the other side of
bro.
the Earth, hundreds of millions in the non-impact zone of North and South America are now dead.
Shit.
The failure of the power grids has turned the clock back to the Dark Ages. As food supplies dwindle, can any survivors prevent the end of the human race?
Maybe. Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha, Nebraska, once part of America's breadbasket, lies
lies barren. A steady rainfall falls over what was once a cornfield. But this is no ordinary rain. It is acid rain.
Oh, shit.
With nitrogen dioxide because of the gamma ray burst's radiation.
Oh.
Strangely, this acid rain offers a glimmer of hope to survivors.
What?
The presence of nitrogen in this acid rain acts the same as the type of fertilizer we might throw on our grass or our crops.
Oh.
The acid rain is actually the first sign of Earth returning to balance. It cleanses the atmosphere and allows Earth's ozone layer to reform. This begins to block out the sun's hazardous ultraviolet rays again. Life slowly begins to repopulate the oceans.
Yay, we did
We
it.
could be seeing a new equilibrium being established. So there is some hope. Even though civilization as we know it has been destroyed, perhaps with the atmosphere restabilizing itself, perhaps we can start all over again.
As agriculture returns and fish populations are replenished, mankind slowly returns from the brink of extinction. But the rebirth is destined to fail.
Oh, no.
Years after the gamma ray burst impact.
What the fuck?
Survivors begin to drop dead. A sudden rush of radioactive particles is pouring in from outer space. It's another wave of radiation.
My man came back.
That caused the gamma ray burst.
My man came back to finish the job.
Blast takes longer to travel through space and reach the Earth.
A gamma ray burst produces not only gamma rays, but also charged particles.
Particles that would be emitted along with these gamma rays travel at a slower speed.
So it's possible that an onslaught of energetic particles will arrive years after the onslaught of photons from the gamma ray burst.
Earth's rotation has placed the Americas directly under the particle burst when it arrives.
Well, shit.
Across the new impact zone, humans succumb to the second assault from space. Once again, Earth's ozone layer is stripped away, and without protection from our atmosphere, there is no chance of survival.
As the particles continue to arrive, we're going to get this enhancement in radiation over a long time scale.
The Earth is now a radioactive wasteland. The only remaining life, radiation-resistant insects.
My man.
It's a catastrophic scene scientists believe has happened before.
440 million years ago, during what we call the Ordovician period, there was an extinction level event that wiped out about 75% of all life on Earth.
We don't have a smoking gun that the gamma ray burst was the cause of this late Ordovician mass extinction, but there's a lot of correlations that seem to make the case pretty strong.
Could another cataclysmic extinction event happen again? And could planet Earth and mankind become the victims of a gamma ray burst?
I don't fucking know, man.
We know that the gamma ray bursts happen all the time. They're rare in any given location, but we know that they happen, and we know that the Earth would be profoundly affected by one.
Profoundly is an understatement.
When it comes to understanding gamma ray bursts, their history, maybe, just maybe it's happened many times in our history. We don't know.
Rock.
We didn't think that there could be rocks from heaven coming down, killing the dinosaurs.
Rock.
But now we know better. How many more gamma ray bursters are just waiting to fire?
Too many. Earth out of orbit.
The clock of destruction is ticking. A deadly heat wave is sweeping over the entire Earth.
No!
In sight.
Oh!
Annihilation. Because every day, the Earth is falling closer and closer toward the sun.
There's no doubt that as Earth goes toward the sun and temperatures rise, ice in Antarctica will melt, and that will make the ocean levels rise.
We have extreme temperatures.
Holy jeez.
You can't go outside. You try to turn on the air conditioning, but the power is out.
All the water in our blood would be boiling into vapor. We would boil.
Oh no.
This is the beginning of hell.
This is the beginning of hell.
Will you be ready? When Doomsday strikes,
no.
Can any of us survive?
Hell yeah.
Earth travels around the sun at just the right distance for life to exist.
It sure does.
But what if our planet were suddenly thrown from its orbit and spiraling into the blazing heat of the sun?
Oh, you know.
How long could we survive?
Oh, you know. We wouldn't.
We haven't evolved to breathe hot air. If you're outside and it's 141 degrees, you'll burn your lungs.
You'll suffocate.
The sun, there's this death wave that moves both directions towards both poles, and people have to keep moving farther and farther north or south to stay alive.
Disney classic.
You start reaching temperatures where aluminum melts, and even steel.
Oh no!
The memory of civilization is completely erased.
Shark.
Beneath the North Atlantic, something strange is happening to the world's most famous shipwreck.
The Titanic, 3,800 meters down, is in the inky blackness of the deep ocean.
The Titanic has been trapped in the dark since it sank in 1912. But today, the wreck is suddenly bathed in sunlight, and it starts to rise from the ocean floor.
Oh my god, it's coming back alive. Oh god, it's coming back for revenge. No.
In a field outside Houston, Texas,
Zombie ship.
Two amateur astronomers find that their stargazing app, which has always been accurate before, isn't lining up with the night sky. The stars are in the wrong place.
Something's not right.
Every night, the stars and planets look like they're in slightly different parts of the sky, because the Earth is in a slightly different place in its yearly orbit around the sun. But on this night, the stars and planets rise exactly where they did the night before.
So astronomers would think, oh, I just screwed up something. But then they would talk to the other astronomers, and every telescope in the world would be wrong.
reason the stars are no longer changing their positions is that after 4.5 billion years, the Earth is no longer orbiting around the sun.
But how?
This is a terrifying thought.
It is beyond terrifying.
The cause is 30 billion miles away. A rogue star with the mass of the sun is moving through space.
Bro, what the fudge?
We think of stars as being stationary. But in fact, sometimes a star will come a little too close and disrupt things. If a star got really close, it could screw up the orbits of planets.
The rogue star's gravity is so powerful that as it passes, it affects the Earth, even across billions of miles.
Oh no.
If a rogue star were to pass behind Earth, it's in the direction opposite to Earth's motion, in which case the gravitational pull retards the Earth and takes away some orbital energy.
The star's gravitational pull on Earth exactly matches the energy of our orbit around the sun, but it pulls in the opposite direction.
That would
Oh,
stop
shit.
Earth in its orbit, and Earth then would start falling almost directly toward the sun.
Which one, though? One day after Earth leaves orbit.
Earth has orbited the sun at an average distance of 93 million miles. Now, with that orbit interrupted, the gravity of the sun is pulling us closer at the rate of 500,000 miles a day. And the closer we get, the hotter it gets. Back in Houston, in a normal year, the city has almost 3 months where the average temperature is above 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, daily temperatures are reaching 100. Texans deal with the heat wave the way they always do, with air conditioning. 3,652 miles away,
Let's
Merrill,
go.
Alaska is also dealing with a
Let's
heat
go,
wave.
doggy.
And since America's northernmost city has an average temperature that's below freezing, most people don't have air conditioning. Instead, they are sweating through Houston-like temperatures in the upper 90s.
What?
Strange weather patterns are happening all over the world. Out-of-season hurricane cells form in the Caribbean. Thousands flee inland as 100-mile-an-hour winds slam into Cuba's northern coast, tearing apart homes,
Oh, shit.
flooding the streets of Havana.
Oh, shit.
Global warming increases the power of storms. We now
Yes,
have
it
more
does.
powerful hurricanes than we had in the past, just because we've heated up the planet. So when we're doing the same thing as global warming, we're going to be increasing the power of storms. After the first week or so, storms would pretty much instantaneously react to higher temperatures. When a hurricane goes over warm water, it increases in speed and ferocity.
All along the Atlantic seaboard, hundreds of thousands of people board up windows, pile up sandbags in front of their homes, and stockpile food and water.
Sure.
As the storm picks up strength, it moves to the United States and makes a deadly landfall on Cape Fear, North Carolina.
As heat rises, it causes more winds, more wind storms.
Thousands of people are suddenly homeless and struggle to survive against the raging storm. Some make it to safety. Others aren't so lucky. the same time, almost 500 miles to the north, another superstorm strikes the Atlantic City boardwalk and floods the New Jersey shore. Tourists and residents are forced into a desperate scramble for higher ground.
So very quickly, pretty much the beach is all over the place. After even 6 days.
Oh, the bitch. I know he said beach. I heard bitch.
That they're going to be flooded completely.
You've got more and more severe thunderstorms, which would generate more lightning, which would then have the capacity to ignite some of this drier tinder and set more forest fires.
But the real danger is the heat that's causing this.
Oh man, not again.
The temperatures that every day, threatening the lives of everyone on Earth.
Oh, that's not good. I feel like I'm about to fall asleep. Not because of this, but because I'm already tired.
Seeing the sunrise is the beginning of a new day.
So,
But it will get to a point where this
will be the end of the stream because I'm actually tired. Episode, yeah, no, yeah, I'm gonna keep it like that. Done. Keep it like that. Copy. And we're gonna end it off right here. We're gonna finish the rest of the episodes next week. Oh god, I'm tired. I really need to take a nap because my sleep schedule has been fucked. Thank you for coming out and enjoying the stream. I really appreciate it. Again, apologies for the lack of streams lately. You know, get just depression and stuff like that. You know, cat passing away, and you know, regular stuff. You guys take care, and thank you for coming out to watch. Streams will hopefully resume on Thursday. I do have some fun stuff planned, so we're gonna get that straightened away. Now, if you'll excuse me, I will go do something else. Have a great. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend, and please stay safe. Love you guys. Stay safe, and I'm out of here.